All right, welcome to another episode of the IDS Podcast, and I'm here today with Nava Slavin from the Creative Edge in Roslyn. And Nava, thank you for coming on, and I know you do a little bit of everything, but you specialize in kitchen design. So We're here in your office and beautiful kitchen set, and we're going to talk all about kitchens today. So thanks for coming on, I'm excited. Do you want to start off and give everyone kind of like the 30-second elevator pitch about you? And, you know, a lot of people that are in IDS Long Island do know who you are, obviously, but we have listeners that might not be. So let us know who you are, a little bit about yourself.
So I started off with a couple of degrees in architecture, and I worked for some very big architectural firms in Manhattan. And later on, when I had children, I didn't want to work so hard and so much, so I wanted to spend some time with them. And I decided to open up my own office and take just mainly renovations to make it easier on me. And from that, you know, I learned to sort of do some other things like kitchens, bathrooms, and things, and it became kind of a specialty. I kind of really like to work with the interiors more so than the exterior. So we do a lot of renovations.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about kitchens today and everything from what's trending to functionality to budgeting. But I want to start by talking about the evolution of kitchen design over the last, I guess we can talk, we'll talk a little bit in the more recent years, but we can even delve, you know.
The 50s.
Yeah, even from the 50s if we want. So just to start on a more basic level, let's talk about, you know, even from when you started, when did you start in 80s, 90s?
My own business in 95.
Okay, so even from then to now, how has the client priorities for kitchen design changed?
Oh, big time. It used to be that we had a little kitchen, the triangle of refrigerator, cooking, and sink. Yeah. That was kind of, you had to have that kind of thing. We had a small kitchen, usually a U shape or an L shape, and then there would be a little table for breakfast. We called it the breakfast table, and everybody had a dining room, which was totally separate. Then people started to like the bigger kitchens because they figured that the kitchen is, you know, where it's not just where the mother or father cook, but it's also the place where the family likes to hang out. Yeah. I always used to joke about the fact that they always stood in front of my garbage pail, so I couldn't open up my garbage pail. So people started to ask for bigger spaces and realized that they actually are not using their dining rooms as much as they thought they would, and it doesn't have to be that formal room that nobody ever uses, but except for, you know, holidays and stuff. So
Thanksgiving dinner. That's it.
To break walls. Thanksgiving dinner.
Other than that, like, people don't even use it.
Well, Christmas, Hanukkah, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying those special times.
Very little. It became, in the recent years, the place to put Amazon boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody was looking to open up the space, and of course, every house is different. So we do a lot of construction to make it, to adapt it to a family space where a family could be all together, and the parents can sit and watch while they're cooking, they can watch their kids do their homework and interact with them, and friends come over and they can hang around and have a drink with you. So everybody's looking for a big island, for instance, because that's where you could sit and see and schmooze with everybody. And also people love cooking on a big island. Yeah. So everybody now is looking to see, how do I change my house? Because the houses, a lot of them are old and a lot of them still have those little kitchens and, you know, in a small dining room. And that's pretty much what's being asked right now.
Yeah, well, you mentioned people are opening up their kitchen. So is that something you're still seeing, where people are still looking for that open concept, or are you seeing a return to that closed kitchen design? Or
so the people are still wanting an open concept in general, but some of the homes which are very big, we actually do a pantry, a butler's pantry, which is kind of behind the kitchen. So if you do the messy stuff, you can do it in the butler's pantry. Most of the jobs that we do are pretty high-end. Yeah. So that's something that people really like because, you know, people can cook in the back. Even if they have catering, they can do it in the background. But the family still has that big space to live in.
Yeah, no, I like what you said, coming in and having somewhere to hang out. And I don't know what the best way to call it is. Maybe something like a a lifestyle hub where it's like somewhere where it's not just a kitchen anymore, where families are coming in, they're just sitting. I mean, that's how it is in my house. Everyone just kind of hangs out at the couch. I don't have an island, I have a peninsula, but same thing. Yeah. Where everyone just kind of hangs out and just.
Yeah, and actually, if you go to Europe and you look at the ways that they do the kitchens, a lot of times they have these doors. If they have a full wall of a kitchen, they actually have these sliding doors where they open and close them depending on what they want to use. So if it's breakfast time, they open up the one section that has all the stuff for breakfast. It's the coffee machine and it's the refrigerator and this and that. And then if they want to make dinner, they would open up the other section, which has the stove and the hood. But most of the time, you can close it, and you're not even in the kitchen.
Interesting.
Yes.
So that's premium functionality.
Yes.
So talking about the evolution, let's talk a little bit about smart technology and how that plays into kitchens, because obviously going back, like you said, 40s, 50s, 60s, where you had this small little room and the kitchen was an afterthought in the house. It was basically just a utility. Yes. Now it's more of a space where the family gathers. How has smart technology in that evolution played into designing kitchens, from lighting to appliances to everything else?
Right. So the one thing that really changed a lot is that we have refrigeration that's so much better than it was many, many years ago. So many years ago, you would have to go and get your groceries like every day because everything was going to get stale or just would not last that long. And now it seems that every single brand new house has these huge refrigerators, freezers, and it's that Costco thing where they buy everything under the sun and they actually fill it all up, which is quite incredible. So they do need a lot of room for a lot of big appliances. People even use those 48-inch stoves, which are ginormous. Yeah. They probably only use only a very small part of it. But nevertheless, they just love that luxury of having that big kitchen with big appliances, and that's basically it. The appliances changed tremendously in terms of technology, because now you can be in your office and you can turn on your oven from your phone. Mm-hmm. You can turn your dishwasher on. Like you could say to a person in the house, hey, put the hamburgers in the grill, and then when you get home, it's actually ready to go. It's ready, actually. So it's all a little confusing for older people.
Yeah, but it's so great, like you said, to be able to, on your way home, turn your oven on. So by the time you get home, it's ready to go. Or you forgot
to turn on the dishwasher. Yeah. And also, interesting, some of the companies, I don't want to mention companies, but some of the companies actually have refrigerators that take a picture of your refrigerator every time you close the door. So they know if you need milk. They know if you need yogurt, or fruits or vegetables. So they actually text to your phone a list
of what you need.
Well,
you know what the next step is? It's going to just order it from Amazon Fresh for you, and it shows up at your house the next day. Yeah. Because it's inevitable that it's going to come.
Well,
you literally...
you certainly can send that list to
exactly.
whoever.
But I'm saying it's all going to be automated to a point where, all right, you're low on milk and yogurt, and that afternoon it shows up at your house.
Yes.
So what about efficiency with appliances? How has that changed?
I think appliances are great today. They are... For instance, induction, which is not really new. People think it's new. Mm-hmm. It's been around in Europe for a long time. But induction is, in my mind, the most accurate type of cooking. It's better than a flame, although most chefs and a lot of people absolutely love gas. The fact is that induction is so accurate that you literally can have simmer on chocolate, and it could sit there for 12 hours simmering, and it's not going to
melt. Wow.
It's not going to get black on the bottom or get, it'll be perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. So I happen to love that. And the fact that you can clean it very easily, sponge, is a big deal, because to pick up those big things from the gas, those
grates, whatever.
The grates, they weigh about a ton. So that's a lot more difficult. So I think that's great. But I also think that there's a lot of new technology like steam cooking, which is wonderful way to cook and not dry up the food.
Yeah.
And if you know how to actually use it, which people are tending to be scared of it, but once you learn how to use it, which doesn't take that long, you probably will use it all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of a microwave, let's say.
Yeah, and that's quick. A learned skill like anything else.
Absolutely.
It's not overly complicated.
And it doesn't dry up the food like if you warm it up in a microwave, because it puts back the moisture into the food.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that kind of stuff happening, which is really great.
Cool. Let's segue into ergonomics a little and kitchen layout. And I know you mentioned the triangle before. Mm-hmm. So how do you approach laying out a kitchen? You know, is that triangle still used today? Do people use that as a basis for what they're doing?
I don't.
Or is that out the window?
I don't. So first of all, I think before I do anything for a kitchen, if I come to a client's house, I always come to their house. Mm-hmm. I don't start any project. I want to see the project. I want to speak to the people. So I have to learn about I know I'm kind of like getting away from your question, but I'll get back to it. I like to speak to the family.
Yeah.
I like to see the kids. I like to kind of feel what they live like and the ages and who's cooking and who's not, if anybody is cooking, et cetera, you know. So I get a good feel for the family or the single people. And then I ask them, like, so what do you like to do in the kitchen? You know, do you cook a lot? Do you entertain a lot? Because everything has to do with how you use the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And they love to talk about it. And so I then measure, or we measure, I should say, and I come back to my computer. I lay it out, and I start thinking, you know. And also, the other thing is, you need to know if these people are going to go very contemporary, very traditional, or somewhere in between. And all of that just kind of gives me a feel of what I think I want to show them. And usually what I do initially is I do 2 or 3 layouts. Mm-hmm. And sometimes one works for one of them, one works for the other. You know, they have to discuss it and all that. But I come up with a layout, not so much by any formula of the triangle or anything like that, but like, okay, these guys cook a lot. They need a lot of surface. Yeah. They need a big cooktop. They need a lot of refrigeration. They need, 2 places, let's say. Most of the time we use 2 places for sinks. Yeah. So do they need 2 big sinks, or do they need just 1 small sink to wash your hands of berries or whatever? And then the other one should be really big. Like they have these humongous sinks now with all the cutting boards and all
everything built in, yeah.
Yes. And so I get the feel from the clients of what I think they would be happy with. So it varies from client to client. There are some people that say, listen, I want a beautiful kitchen and I never cook. I bring in food, so it's not that important for me that I have a ginormous amount of cooking space, you know. Yeah. I need a lot of serving space because I always bring it in, you know. So that's basically how I come up with an idea of what these people are going to be happy with. I show them a first and second layout, and I kind of tell them, this is the reason why I did this, and this is the reason why I did that. What do you think? And they always have feedback. And then we go on to what becomes the final.
So is their personality essentially how you balance appliances versus prep area versus basically just for their needs?
Their needs, yes.
Based on if they're family or entertainers or serious cooks, etc.
Yeah, and some people just want a beautiful kitchen. I want the most gorgeous kitchen. They don't even care that much about the cooking. Yeah. So then they go to materials, you know, like what materials do you want to use? And people always say to me, well, what's in style? And I always say, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is what you like.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that after. We'll talk about what's trending and all that.
Yeah.
What are some common mistakes that you see in functionality? Just for people to avoid. No matter what, and I don't know, sorry to put you on the spot if you need time to think of it, but whether you're an entertainer or a serious cook or, you know, have big families with little children, I mean, I would imagine there's some things that you want to avoid either way.
I'll tell you, it's not exactly the answer to what you want, but the mistakes are when the people make their own choices of design and they don't understand that it's a mistake. Okay. So the amount of space to move around the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I know that from second-time clients that say to me, I bought a new house, and it was a new kitchen in the house, but the kitchen that you did for me last time was so much more functional for me. Mm-hmm. And now I just can't stand it, so I have to throw away a brand new kitchen. And we donate it. Wow. So the reason why is because functionality is very important. And for instance, that couple was two cooks, and they were on top of each other. They just didn't like that idea that, you know, could you move?
Yeah, exactly.
You know. So if I see that this is what's going to happen, I always make sure they have enough space to move around, and they literally have almost 2 kitchens.
Each have their own area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about aesthetics for a little bit. And you spoke about what's trending, and people always ask you what's trending. So I know you say nothing's trending or it doesn't matter, but...
No, I'm not saying nothing is trending. I'm saying don't worry about what's trending.
Okay, don't worry about what's trending.
Yes.
Let me correct myself.
Yes.
But what are you seeing more of now, than previously? What are people into now? What's on its way out? What should people be aware of? Summer 2025.
So years ago, we were doing very traditional, especially in Long Island, not in the city, but in Long Island. Yeah. We were doing very traditional with corbels and embellishments, and everything had to have some sort of traditional something. Mm-hmm. People are getting away from that. So the traditional people are more transitional now, where they still want something, but not over the top. Yeah. And then there are people who are doing very contemporary, the cleanest type of look and that type of thing, more European kind of look.
Okay.
As far as materials, so I feel like woods are definitely in, but not so much the very dark and heavy woods like we used to see. Mm-hmm. People are liking more like these type of woods, the ones that are lighter, and they add to it either a black or a white if it's really big. If it's not a really big kitchen, I don't suggest to use 2 colors. I usually say just go with the 1 color. Yeah. But they usually add, some people like to add some funky colors, and that's fine, that's great if that's what they love, but the chances are they're going to repaint it at one point.
Yeah, so how do you find that balance with customers that want something trendy, but that the kitchen's going to be there for, let's say, 15 years, 20 years max maybe. Yeah. So how do you balance that longevity with trendiness?
So I don't really think about it that way. I always say to them, what do you really love? Yeah. Do you love rosewood? Because if you love rosewood, it's always going to be good for you. Yeah. So I don't really push them for trendy for that reason. I just say, well, here's what I say to them. I say, what I'd love to see before I even start? I would love to see you go on Pinterest or any of the other type of websites and show me 3 pictures of what you think, wow, I wish I had that kitchen. Yeah. Because that'll give me the feeling of what you like. Mm-hmm. And that's when I show them different woods or whatever other colors that they choose to show them what's available.
Okay, and are there any things that you would consider timeless in a kitchen? Like, go with this style because in 20 years when you're thinking about getting a new kitchen, it'll still be...
I think that...
is it like a traditional design that'll always kind of stay
So
current?
I think that it's more important for me to know that the design of the kitchen is good, and if you wanted to paint the cabinets or if you wanted to just change the doors, something like that, if you're there for 20 years, you're still going to love the layout. Yeah. That's more important to me.
Than specific materials.
Than a specific material, because I don't know what's going to be in 20 years. Yeah. So maybe purple cabinets, I don't know.
I've seen some crazy things.
Yes. So have I. So
okay, cool. Is there anything that you kind of advise your clients from a trendiness standpoint to avoid? Like, this is really hot now. It looks awesome. You're going to love it for the next year, and then you're going to be like, why did I do this?
Yeah, this happened to me many, many, many years ago when I had actually done, talking about purple, I've done somebody's apartment. Okay. He was a young guy, just starting out, and he wanted to have a purple couch from Italy that was $10,000 at the time, talking about 30 years ago. And I said, no, just have the cushions in purple because you could throw them out. Yeah, don't do it purple. I'm still friends with him, and he still is joking about the fact that the purple couch had to go in the basement because nobody else wants to look at it. Yeah. So if you do something crazy color, use it in a small space. Use it in a small way. So I had this one client, which I'll show you if you'd like, who also wanted like this hot pink kitchen and whatnot. And the whole thing, she wanted hot pink. So I just gave her some stuff that was hot pink, but the rest I added some black in it and some other, And so you just have to give them a little bit of what they want to satisfy them, but convince them not to do it all over because they'll hate you when they install.
Yeah, and then make it where it's replaceable if you need to.
Yes. So
Yeah,
you don't
no,
want to
that's
do a
the key.
major. It's a big expense to do a kitchen.
Yeah.
Huge for anybody.
Yeah.
So it would be silly to do something really crazy funky, you know, and then you have to change it again.
Yeah, let's try to go somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over and talk about storage and some custom solutions. So what are the wow storage features that are, I don't want to keep using the word trending because I know you don't like that, and you said it doesn't matter. But what new, I guess you can call it technology. What new features and technology are you seeing in storage solutions for kitchens?
So it's not so much that it's new, but it's a different way of designing the kitchen. One of the things that I really like is to do mostly drawers as opposed to doors and drawers. Mm-hmm. Because if you do doors, people want rollouts. So you have two actions. You open the door and you pull out the drawer.
Okay.
The rollout is also smaller because it has to be contained within the cabinet itself. So you're losing a few inches on the side and in the back and in the front as well. So you actually are getting less of a space. But you open a drawer, you have the entire space inside, and it's just a one-action thing. You just open a drawer.
Yeah, I guess they have to be tall enough to accommodate.
We give a lot of different sizes.
Pots
Yeah, it's the smaller and the medium and the large, and you can decide, like under a cooktop, I like to use the big ones for the pots and pans and stuff, but we just use a variety of drawers everywhere. So that's one thing. Inside the drawers, we can use all sorts of storage for dishes. You know, they have the dividers, you have for dishes, you have for pots and lids and all of that stuff. That's kind of like something that you can also do afterwards.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was going to ask. What if you already have a kitchen and you want to just have that fitted to your custom?
It's much less expensive to go and buy those things by companies that make it, which there's millions of them, you know. So that's one thing. The other thing is we have those rollout cabinets, which are for spices on the lower ones, on the bases, and then the really tall ones where you can put all these containers that kind of match, if you're very anal about matching the containers, and you pull out all your stuff, your nuts and your cereals and your
like
anything
pantry.
you put in a container. It is a pantry. It's a pull-out pantry. Yeah. So we do that. The job that I'm doing right now, there's two huge pull-out pantries on the two huge refrigerator freezers. So, yeah. So
and it just makes everything more efficient.
Yes.
Hidden away.
Especially if you're kind of anal about putting things in nice containers that fit there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, I mean, so speaking of that, if you have a smaller kitchen or you're doing a kitchen in an apartment where size or space is an issue, how do you combat that?
So many times if we have an apartment that we're able to put actually in a peninsula or an island, we utilize the other side as well to have cabinets in the back, even where you're sitting, for their storage.
Yeah.
So that really helps. Height, you know, today.
I was about to ask, going vertical.
You can go vertical, and if it's really high, you know, they have these mechanisms that actually can pull it down. They use it for handicapped people, but you can use it yourself. You can just bring it down, and even a remote control, and then it brings down the entire shelf, and that's a wonderful way to do that.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about customization and what's the process like. Walk us through, I guess, a project or a client who wants to make custom cabinetry.
So all of our clients do custom cabinetry.
Okay.
Yeah. So we pretty much to the
So what's that like for maybe designers that are listening that don't do custom, that just kind of do stock and stuff like that? What's that process, and what's the best way to approach it?
I guess usually the cabinets that are pre-made are every 3 inches. Mm-hmm. So they have to plan it out really well.
Yeah.
And also not lose too much space for fillers. Mm. I notice a lot of kitchens, there are a lot of fillers. If you have to be much more innovative in a very small kitchen than in a very large kitchen, you know? The plumbing very often in a big building is what dictates where things are, because you cannot move the plumbing. You can't change the plumbing going down 20 stories or 100 stories.
Yeah, your sink is there.
Your sink is there.
No matter what.
Many times you're kind of stuck against the wall as a sink, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's not ideal. Also,
those go up in old buildings. That goes back to, like we said, you know, in the 60s, 70s, where functionality wasn't a concern ever. It was just like...
Yeah, it's very basic.
It's easier for the builder to put the pipes here, so that's what we're going to do. I don't care what the tenants have to deal with.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because even when you build a new house, It's very important to think about the kitchen before you even lay out the whole first floor, let's say.
Yeah.
Because you want the kitchen to work really well. That other room that's a guest room or something, or a library, is not as important because it doesn't have that much function. Furniture you can move around, but once the kitchen is not set up right,
it's like that.
It's like that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, to close on storage, I mean, are there a lot of mistakes you see that either clients are saying this is what we need, but it's going to be a mistake, or even other designers doing regarding storage and
So corners could be an issue because a lot of people want a corner, but it's expensive to put that pull-out beautiful unit, And so they say, no, it's okay, I'll just put stuff in there, and they'll never be able to go in there because it's just too hard to get into that corner.
I have that. We only take out or put in what's right in front of the door.
Yeah.
Nothing in back. It's been in there for years.
In there.
Don't
it's
even
only
know.
When you move out of the house.
Exactly. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the things. The other thing, I think that if you do make cabinets too high, and you don't want to use those mechanisms, or you don't want to go climbing on a chair, there's a lot of waste, that you just don't use. So you don't necessarily want to make your cabinets all that high.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about, and we'll close with this whole idea of client expectations, budgets, and processes. So what's the best way to educate a client about, every client comes in and has these grandeur ideas of having a kitchen that looks like a palace.
Yes.
What's the best way to educate a client on what's realistic and within their space and within their budget when they have all these crazy ideas? Because everyone comes, I'm assuming every client you deal with comes with, I want this and I want this and I want this. And
yes.
All right, now let's snap you back to reality and let's talk about what we can do.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
So that's very tricky because of two reasons. Number one, there is HGTV, which tells you that for $10,000 you can do the whole house.
Yeah.
Number two is just prices have gone up tremendously with COVID and all that.
Yeah.
It's
everything
out
the
of
last
control.
5 years has been nuts.
And nobody remembers that there was COVID. And so we basically, people come and go, well, my other house, I did a kitchen and it was $40,000. Yes, but today it's probably going to be 80, Of course, depends on the kitchen because some of them go up to hundreds. Yeah. So it's very tricky because everybody wants everything and nobody wants to pay the prices. Even the very wealthy people, it blows their mind when they hear all these prices. And all they have to do is go to an appliance showroom and already it's almost $100,000. Yeah. Just the appliances,
exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing is people don't understand is that, okay, we make a plan, and if we stick by the plan, we could stick by our budget. If we stick with the materials that we spoke about before, then the budget will be right. But if you suddenly come up with something much more expensive, the budget can't stay the same. And if you make a lot of changes, you're going to get change orders from the contractor. And it's almost inevitable that people make changes. So I always say to people, listen, it's more or less, let's say $100,000, but I would figure that I have enough to do 120 because there's a good chance that you're going to fall in love with these handles that are going to cost you another $4,000. And you're going to want to do the big refrigerator, which is going to cost you another, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to be realistic, give yourself the highest budgets you can and go for the less so that you can do, within the budget.
Coming under,
Because you really...
It's like a sales tactic called price anchoring, where you go higher.
And I try to be as honest as I can with people, and I can. They always say, "How much is a kitchen?" And I go, "How much is a car?"
Exactly. But you know what? It looks better if you come in under budget because you estimated high versus.
Yeah, it feels a lot better.
Yes,
right. If you aim for 100 and you still have 120, you're much happier if it came to like 110 or 120.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
So what's the approach, and give us some ideas when you're working with a client with a tight budget on how you can still achieve their goals, but they don't have the budget to do everything they want. We were talking before about different materials and stuff like that.
So I had a client that usually is not my type of client that I do normally, because our companies are very expensive. But I had a client who came to me. She just walked in here.
Oh, right.
She was actually going to somebody else, but she actually stopped in and she sat down and she said, "Do you mind if I talk to you for a few minutes?" And I said, "Of course." So she sat down, and she turned out to be the nicest person that I just fell in love with. I thought she was the sweetest woman, and she had this sob story about divorce and all that, and how she's working so hard, and her house needs work so badly, and she doesn't have a big budget, but she really, really wants somebody who she could trust, and on and on and on. And I just had to help her,
Okay. Yeah.
Just like we do those homes for the veterans.
Yeah.
I just felt like I needed to help this lady, and I just loved her. I still love her. She's great. So I basically said to her, "Listen, tell me your budget. What is the maximum you could possibly use? And then let's sit down and do a list of what we can afford, okay? So we are going to have to go to Home Depot for some things, and we are having to go to laminate cabinets, laminate doors instead of wood doors that look like wood doors, but they're laminate. It'll last you a long time because laminates are great, And we're going to have to go to closeouts for your floor to do tiles, et cetera, And we did a budget that was about 8 pages for her kitchen and for her couple of bathrooms that she had to do, and we stuck with every single item. Every time she was leaning towards something that was not on sale or whatever, I'm like,
snap her back.
Nope, we're not doing that because we promised that we're going to stay within the budget. And it was written pages. She had the same pages that I did.
Yeah.
And we sort of checked everything that we did and all of that. And you know what? It came in less than the budget, and she's just thrilled to pieces, She's madly in love with her house, and that's the way to do it. If you really need to do an improvement and you want to be happy in a nice, clean house, it doesn't have to be a Taj Mahal. It can just be nice and clean, We made a bigger kitchen for her because we did open up a wall, but it wasn't a crazy thing to do.
So budget properly is key.
Budget properly, yes.
Can we talk about do you have clients that come to you with like 50 pictures from Pinterest and say, I want this and I want this, and everything is kind of contradicting each other and conflicting ideas? And
not much. Most of the time they show me the similar.
Okay.
I like this, but I also like that, but it's very similar in idea, and so once we converge it into their plan, we just take a little from item A and a little from item B, and we kind of put it together for them, and it actually comes out the way it is theirs, not Pinterest,
Yeah. All right, to close up, I'm going to ask you a couple of just quick wrap-up questions. What are some misconceptions that clients might have about redoing their kitchen besides it's going to take a lot longer than you think?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because that's the obvious one, and that's the case, always the case. But, obviously things will probably end up a little bit over budget or cost more than you initially say. That's just not from anyone's fault of just the way things naturally happen.
Well, I point out when they pick a handle that's twice the price of what they wanted to pay, I point out them just so I'm reminding you that you told me that you don't want to spend more than $10 per handle, and you're spending $25.
Yeah.
And you have 50 handles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So I make sure I remind them, and also if they don't make decision, that makes it really, really hard. So the timing becomes later and later. You make a decision today. If I put your cabinets in a week, then it'll take them 4 months. But if you make a decision in 2 months, it's going to be in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So I always try, but it doesn't always work. I try to make sure they understand. If you want it quickly, we can do it quickly. But you have to make decisions.
Cool. All right, to end, what is the most underrated kitchen design feature?
The most underrated kitchen design feature?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but what are they not using that they should be
Correct.
using?
What is the best, whether it's functionality-wise or something else that no one even thinks of, no one uses. People say, I don't need it, but
Okay.
you need it and you don't realize you need it.
Yeah, so a lot of people do use it, but some people don't want to, and that has to do with green, which is a water filter. You know?
Oh, okay.
Use a water filter, not bottled. Yes, we're sitting here in the office and I don't have a faucet here, so we use bottled water.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have my water in a big thing I bring from home.
Yeah.
But, some people just don't think it's important to do. And if you actually test your water,
Yeah.
you don't want to drink your water, no matter how good that you think it is.
Especially here on Long Island.
Especially here on Long Island. So I think that's something that I always beg people to put in.
Oh.
Because it saves all the plastic also, so I always really...
Yeah, no, that's great. I didn't think you were going to go there.
I also make sure they filter the refrigerator ice.
Yeah.
Which, if you have a Sub-Zero, it has its own filter. But
Yeah.
if you don't have a Sub-Zero, if you don't have a refrigerator that's very high-end, then you don't have a filter.
Mm-hmm.
So the plumber will put, from the filter, he would put a line into your refrigerator
Oh, okay.
while we do the construction, before we
Yeah.
do the floors.
And last question, what is the most overused feature or material that you wish would just hit the road? What are you sick of already?
What am I sick of? I don't really think I'm sick of anything.
All right.
No, I just would like to
trends
see.
change,
I just like to see a little bit more natural stone,
Okay.
because people are so afraid of natural stone in the last
Interesting.
20 years. And the fact of the matter is, I always tell people when they say, "Oh, but it's going to get stained," and I go say, "Did you ever go to the Vatican?" And they go, "Yeah." Did you see the stone on the floor that's like thousands of years old and it's marble, and everybody's walking on it all day long, and it's just
perfect.
gorgeous
Yeah.
because it's patinaed? There's nothing more beautiful than patinaed stone.
Yeah.
So if you're working on a piece of, let's say, just the island, okay, this you want to be very, commercial kind of thing, but just the island, if you just want to put this stunning piece that you're going to the yard and you see this stunning piece of stone and use it, just use it.
Yeah.
If it gets patina, beautiful.
Exactly. It's organic.
Yes, it's gorgeous, and it's like a picture on the wall. It's like an art piece. So as much as I love quartz, because it's very convenient, and they have it more and more beautiful quartz. I have it. This is beautiful quartz, for instance.
Yeah.
But I still think there's nothing like natural stone.
Go natural stone.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Nava, for joining me, talking kitchens. I didn't know much about kitchens. I did learn that my corner piece is very unfunctional, and there's nothing I can do about it now. But
Well, you can. You can add one of those things.
oh, maybe there's
Yeah.
enough room. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll give you a call after this.
Measure it.
Exactly. But thank you, the Creative Edge, Nava Slavin, and we'll see you, I guess, at the next meeting. Thanks for coming on with me.
Thank you so much.